Hello and welcome to the Free Dominion. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so very much for joining our program today. Those of you joining us live, especially if you're joining us live straight from the social media like Facebook and YouTube, welcome, 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 welcome. We are so thrilled and excited that you can find some time out of your busy schedule and come and join us. That goes the same for those of you also joining us live from television and radio station. We are so glad, guys. We are so glad that you can tune in. It's really a privilege to be here and to share. Really a privilege to be here and to share with you this broadcast. And we also would hope that you also make it a point to come and participate in real time as it happens. Excuse me. So that we can be able to have a more interactive conversation, especially that today it's Friday. And for this reason, I want to say to each and every one of you to really come and make yourself comfortable. Excuse me. The conversation that we get to have here, we speak very frankly with each and every one of you guys. We speak boldly and we speak with no apologies. Because the issues we get to discuss here at our Free Dominion, these are the issues that we really care very deeply about. And for that reason, we have no reason to sugarcoat anything. It doesn't do us any good. And it is in that spirit that everything that we get to talk, to discuss, to share with you, it is all in the spirit of truth, love, and trust. And these are the benchmarks by which we will hope each and every one of you to measure both the integrity and the validity of the content that we get to share with you. We would love nothing more than receiving feedbacks from you. Why? Because when you send us some feedbacks, we can actually get to see, hey, we believe that what we are sharing with them, it's actually helpful enough, especially if it is helping you, if it is building you, if it is making a change, helping you making some changes, some adjustment in your lives. We would love to hear from you. We would love to know, what is that doing for you? How is it helping you? Or even how is it not helping you? We really believe that everything that we're doing or that we would like to do, it is all for the greater good of our brothers and sisters all over the world. So how can you get in touch with us? I think that for some of those of you guys who have yet to get in touch, who are not familiar with the show, we have set up a website where we would hope that you can come through there and get in touch with us. And that website, it is www.afreedominion.com. www.afreedominion.com. We also have set up an email, or the main email that you can go through if you want to get in touch with us. And that main email is info@afreedominion.com. info@afreedominion.com. We would love nothing more than receiving each and every one of you guys, especially through the website. You get an opportunity to come in and interact with the rest of the like minds who are going the same direction, doing the same thing, same project, and you can actually also have some participation or choose something that you can participate in. So it is really in not just our own benefit, but also your benefit to link up with the rest of the like minds and get involved. Because everything we do, we're showing, we're discussing, we're sharing, we're doing it so that we can make a difference each and every one of our days. And so you are so much welcome. And also be sure to subscribe to our private channel. It's a Telegram private channel, right where we get to meet with everybody else there. It's all on the website, and we hope that that information is going to be very helpful and very useful to each and every one of you guys who will be joining us. Last but not the least, we discuss everything in real time, which means especially those of you joining us live from social media, we have various ways that you can actually connect with us. All real time. We're talking about video and audio. Straight to the studio, so you can be able to participate to the conversation as it happens. We also have Zoom. We have Zoom as one of the platforms that we use to connect easily to each and every one of you guys across the globe, because we believe that if we have an engaging conversation real time, not only we can actually be efficient in utilizing our times, but also we can actually set the record straight right then and there. We believe that everything that we do should be done in real time without having to rehearse nothing. Because this is life, this is our lives, and we want that life to matter every single second, every single minute, every single day. We want to matter. We want you to matter. So if that's the case, be you. There's no need to be someone else that you're not. Just come and be you. Come and share what's on your mind and be frank. Be bold and make no apologies to your beliefs. It is actually a humbling experience to have an opportunity to get to hear another human being expressing himself or herself. Because then you realize not only we are the same, but we also are collectively unique in everything that we do. And I believe very deeply that it is our uniqueness that allows us to actually build a better tomorrow. From your family standpoint to your community and your nation. And with that in mind, guys, I'd love to begin our broadcast always talking about what Afri-Dominion is. Not just as a show, but also as an idea. So what is Afri-Dominion? Afri-Dominion, it's an idea that inspires, advocates, helps, and encourages a complete dominion of Africa, one country at a time, by sons, daughters, and African descendants, all for the interest of African people, primarily, and the rest of the world afterwards. So that's what the idea of Afri-Dominion is. And you may sound like, wow, that is something big, or that is something so bold. How can you do that? It's inside of us, guys. It is inside of us. And it is for that reason Afri-Dominion show has become or is a mouthpiece of that idea. Here on this show, you can expect a conversation, programs of which inspire, of which advocate, of which encourages, even help, have a complete shift, a complete takeover, a complete dominion of Africa and African resources by its sons, daughters, and African descendants, all in the interest of African people primarily, and then the rest of the world afterwards. That is what we do here, which means if you have an idea, if you have a conversation, if you have something that you know that has a greater good for the African people, bring it on. Bring it on. We get to, we get to help you communicate that message throughout Africa, throughout even the world. That goes without saying. It would be a remiss if I didn't really take just a few seconds to give a huge thanks to HMG Network and affiliates for making it possible for us to broadcast this signal to many, many, many of you. The logistics, the handling, the technology, they helping us out, guys. And this is an expensive operations, by the way. And this operations is fully funded by you and I. We are fully funded by ourselves, which means we get to have an opportunity to actually push our messages, share the information that we deem fit, that we deem important, that we deem relevant to where we are standing, to our position. And it is for that reason I also welcome each and every one of you who found this program important enough, who found this program helpful to you, to your family, to your communities, to please come and join us. Come join and let's join forces. Let's have more capacity to actually communicate to our own people. We do the programming ourselves. It is not outsourced. There's so much to learn through broadcasting industry, through these pushing our messages the technology side of it, the communication side of it, the engineering side of it. There's so much that goes on. And I'm so excited and so thrilled that we have brothers and sisters who are doing this work. But you know, this work is not free. So we require help, all kinds of help, be it financial, be it creative mind, being your time. Because we can't do any of this work without investing time, without investing energy, without investing some financial, some funding, in the programs and all of that. And if you're working on a project, you've got to figure out the means. So we are super grateful in advance to each and every one of you guys who will find it within your heart to come and join forces and to come and support our initiatives. And with that in mind, guys, let's jump right in. Today, it's Friday. Welcome to Friday to each and every one of you. And I want to let you know how this program is structured. We have 5 different themes because we do broadcast Monday through Friday between 12 to 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. Or to those of you who don't know what that means, it means we broadcast from 12 p.m. to 1:30 Washington, D.C., United States timeline or local time. And you can do conversion to whichever country that you may be in, especially if you want to follow this conversation real time as it happens. All right. So on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday, we have different themes that we get to talk about. Now, these themes have been created so that we can actually group programmings, we can group conversations, we can group relevant stories, relevant information based on these themes. But that doesn't mean that these are the only themes that we are going to actually limit ourselves when we're having a conversation with you guys. These are just the themes that we have found necessary to just start off the programs. All right. So let me go right quick to the themes and then we can jump right on the conversation. On Mondays, we talk about eradication of African refugees and African stateless person. You may be wondering, what are you talking about? Africa has massive refugee problem, not only on the continent, but also outside of Africa. It is not spoken enough. It is not communicated enough for most of you to become aware that there are so many brothers and sisters who are homeless every day. They live in jungles. They live in deplorable conditions. When some of us not only will live a good life, but we can actually have some leftover that we can be able to help them. So it is for these reasons that we actually take some time and get some information, relevant information. We get to advocate on behalf of these voiceless brothers and sisters all over. We do our very best to connect with them, to give them back their dignity, to remind them that, hey, you are still a human being. You are still people. Give them back their Ubuntu. It is not only like a relevant something that we must do, but it's an honor to actually have an opportunity to speak on behalf of another brother and sisters who are somewhere in the jungle, who are completely hopeless. And all of a sudden, you can find yourself meeting another family, meeting a group that says, hey, we recognize you. Hey, we still acknowledge that you are a human being, despite the fact that you've been in this jungle for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, despite the fact that you've been in a shelter for 50, 40, 30, 20, whatever many years you've been there. We want this condition to change. And guess what? It is only us who are going to make those changes happen. There are various reasons why we have a refugee problem in and outside of Africa. It is not by accident, guys. Nothing that's happening on planet Earth, it's an accident. Oftentimes it's a consequence of some action we have taken or we have failed to take. And we want to change that. So Mondays, we absolutely take that day and dedicate it to African refugees, issues, and stateless person. So be sure to tune in on Mondays and come and have a saying about it. On Tuesdays, we get to talk about the Constitution, the laws, the policies, review, and implementation. Guys, again, the continent of Africa has one of the most beautifully written constitutions, laws, and policies. Beautifully written on piece of papers. But these laws are rarely followed. So what's the point of having something so beautiful but useless? So we've taken it upon ourselves also to actually to literally scrutinize what's in these documents. Is it something that has a benefit to you, brothers and sisters? Can you actually use what's in it to better yourself, to better your family, to better your community? And as we scrutinize whatever that works, we advocate for it. And whatever that doesn't work, we literally also advocate to get rid of it with no apologies. That's why we say here that we speak frankly. We speak boldly and with no apologies, because this is life to us, but to others it's just a game. So we want to make sure that you understand why is it that you have the Constitution that you have. Why is it that you have the laws that you have, be it local laws or regional laws? Why is it that you have those laws? Do you see any added value of having them? What kind of policies do you have in place, or do you need in place so that your life becomes a better life? We get to talk about that on Tuesday. On Wednesdays is one of the days that I love, guys. Because on Wednesdays, we get to talk about our testimonies, our life experience. We get to write our history. It is a privilege to write our own history, guys, because for centuries, Africa history, African people, their own history has been purposely buried. For millennia, you can learn about the history of Europe, the history of Asia, the history of North and South America, the history of other continents. But you cannot easily find the history of Africa and African people. This is not an accident. It's purposely done that way. Now that we know, we want to be in a position where not only we revive our history, but we also get to write our own history from today and going forward. You get to write the complete history of yourself, of your family, of your community, of your nation, without cherry picking something in and out of it. Because we know right now we have a pandemic where when a new government takes over, especially in Africa, we have so many coups d'etats. Whoever or that organization that takes over, they rewrite the history according to what they want you to know, according to what they want the rest of the world to know. And we have said, no way, Jose. We don't want that no more. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of our history. Why be ashamed that you've been killing one another with machetes? Why being ashamed that you've been murdering people for you to seize power? If that's how you arrive there, let that be written. If you're a criminal, and we don't get to say that once upon a time, such and such organization has literally wiped out the population so that they can seize the power, it will be a remiss, it will be a disservice to our own people. It will be a lie that we're also contributing and building and rebuilding. And we want to make sure that we do everything frankly, openly, full transparency. Because this is the season that requires that you come out as you are, without a mask on. And don't be ashamed of being you. Hence why I love Wednesdays, guys. And I really welcome each and every one of you to come and set the record straight. We are going to preserve this history for millennia. because we intend to protect it and to preserve it. We're not going to give this daunting task to foreigners to do that for us. Because most of the history, most of African history is actually either foretold or is actually provided through the lenses of foreigners who oftentimes have enslaved Africa, have colonized Africa. They give you a version that has interest to whatever it is that they're seeking in and outside of Africa. What about you? What about your own recollection? What about your own memory throughout those time frames? So we want you to be bold enough to say, you know what? I know this situation differently. This is how I remember what has happened. This is how I know what's happening to me today. And you having that opportunity to set the record straight and get to write it. If you can write, get to speak about it. Get on the record. Record yourself. Record an audio. And better alone, get on video. You have no idea what a service it is to our own people for you to preserve history. If you do not know where you came from, and you certainly have no idea where you are today, how can you possibly plan tomorrow or know where you're headed tomorrow? So we want to be real with you guys. We want to do everything the way we believe it ought to be done. So on Thursdays, we get to talk about the spirit of dominion. I love this word, dominion. Dominion is nothing more than taking charge, taking full charge, taking responsibility. Take the governorship of your own self. Be responsible for you, your family, your community, your region. Do not push the responsibility to others. Make it better. Have the best management skills, people to manage the resources around you. Especially Africa has so much resources. What's the point of you becoming a slave when you are a king and a queen? Why behave like a slave when you are a king and a queen? Why behave like a poor person when truthfully you are the most wealthiest person around? It is here. Mental slavery, guys. Being able to free yourself mentally. Being able to know who you are as a people. And take back what is rightfully yours with no apologies to nobody. You need not apologize for your own things, for your own inheritance. And that is all we ask for on Thursdays. Take back charge of Africa and African resources. Take back the leadership of your own community. Start with your family. Take back that leadership. Participate in your community. Take it back to represent what your family wants. Move on to your village. Make sure that what you want in your village, it's what these collective families are looking for, are seeking for, and you fight for it. And then go to the national level. Make sure that what you want as a nation is what you want as villages, what you want as families, what you want as yourself. Do not settle for less when you know that you have it all. But you cannot do that when you haven't freed your mind, when you haven't realized who you are as a person, as a people. So on Thursdays, we get an opportunity to do just that. And welcome with that. On Fridays, we get to talk about the current event, its impact towards Africa and African people. There are so many things happening, so many things going on in Africa. But as you know, the majority of our own people are asleep. They are sleeping. Or they're walking asleep. They're not interested in knowing what's happening. And oftentimes, they are very afraid because they have been injected some sort of fear syndrome or fear disease with them. They've chosen to literally shut their mouth. Especially in the middle of crisis, they say nothing. They do nothing. Because they have been conditioned to just let it be. Someone else come in and tell you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. And then you say, yes, sir. And we want to say no more. No more with that. So take charge. Be in charge of everything that you care about, everything that you want to see in your life, in your family's life, in your community, in your nation. So we get to pick from various things happening, various situations, and we bring it to light. We get to share with that, with all of you, and we get to challenge you. Hey, what do you have to do with this? What is you saying? What can you do to make this situation better than the way it was before you knew what was happening? And that's what we got going on with African Dominion. And I'm hoping and I'm absolutely expressing my huge gratitude that we have had this opportunity to get to connect with you guys. It is not in vain, guys. I also want to encourage each and every one of you to exercise their freedom and the responsibility of speaking up. Because we have so many voiceless people, brothers and sisters, those who wish they could speak, but they have been enslaved. Their spirit has been pushed down. I'm grateful. I'm in a land where I can express myself. I can go crazy, I can do this, I can do that. Not to say that there aren't any consequences, but I have the privilege of being able to speak my mind. So it is my hope and desire that you also get to exercise those privileges, because there are those who cannot express themselves, those who cannot speak their mind, those who are prohibited to even think about using your head, using your mind. And with that said, guys, let's jump right in it. Today's conversation, we want to talk about how much longer before the dark cloud hanging over Africa and African nations is gone. Remember, this is something that we've collected from what's been happening throughout this week. Can there be lasting leadership in Africa without peace and stability of the region? What happens when leaders refuse to interact with the local population and focus on the international community only? Here, you know me, I'm going to use Rwanda as a case study. And what is your role in all of that? So that's what we're going to talk about in the next 50-something minutes. Also, be sure to come and participate if you want to have a saying in the conversation. We have Zoom open. By all means, welcome. I know that most of you are super intimidated to come and speak in the studio. But I want to really encourage each and every one of you, especially those of you who are fighting to become local leaders. If you haven't exercised the freedom and the responsibility to speak up on behalf of your own people, how can you really say that you want to be the leader? You got to be able to seize that moment. Come and speak up. Come and be frank with everybody. Come and be bold with the things that you believe in. And have no apologies to no one, because those beliefs, they drive who you are as a person. They help you to push agendas to help your own people to a better tomorrow, hopefully. So it is critical, it is important, it is imperative that you actually, you have that opportunity, you seize that opportunity to speak up. So let's get right in it, guys. How much longer? We have a dark cloud that's lingering around Africa. And no joke, guys. In particular, African nations. And what is a dark cloud? Because I want to make sure that if I'm using some terminology that you guys aren't able to decipher, I also want to take some time and just break it down. The dark clouds, it can also be, it can also resemble like a bad spirit over you, bad karma over you, over your land, over your village. Why do I use such a strong word? Again, go back through history. At least let's actually take this very last 2 years. Look what's been happening in Africa, guys. Without sugarcoating. You have wars, you have coup d'etats, you have pandemic. You've got everything that's wrong you can imagine happening in Africa. But then I say to you, how come we don't see wars in the Northern America? How come we don't have wars in North America? We definitely have this pandemic problem in North America, but we don't have any wars. Why is it that in some regions there is just no war? Wars are like a thing of the past, a thing of yesteryears. But in Africa, it's a test ground. It's a battleground for every weapon that's conceived, that comes on market. It's tested in Africa, primarily. So why is it that you Africans, why is it that you leaders of Africa are allowing this to happen? That's what I call a dark cloud, a dark karma, a bad spirit that's lingering over Africa as a continent and over your nation. And while this dark cloud is there, it messes up everything that's happening. You cannot function properly when you've got this fear-mongering, this dark spirit, this dark cloud hanging over you. Because it brings nothing but calamity. And one of the things that I keep on fighting over, why not openly say enough is enough? I've been talking about moratoriums, weapon moratoriums in Africa. I know that scares so many people. The first day I talked about that, a lot of people were like, "Kid, are you actually seriously talking about this openly?" They were afraid actually to even associate themselves with me. Because they were like, man, either you're trying to become, to get assassinated, or you're just not looking to live longer. Can you imagine you say, we want moratoriums over guns? To those of you guys who do not understand that word, I simply say, we need to be able to control and stop the sales of guns, the sales of bombs, the sales of weapons throughout the whole entire Africa as a continent. Which means you're not going to see a kid, a 16, 17, 18 years old kid, having a latest machine gun, but cannot afford a cup of rice. How is it that you can have access to the latest technology, but you cannot have access to something as basic as just a meal for the day? Something is wrong with that picture. So you have multinational corporations coming in Africa to sell guns on credit. Make sure that they test the bullets. Make sure that they test the bombs. They give it to you for free. And while you are busy killing each other, they go behind the scene and go where? To your natural resources. And they help themselves out. And oftentimes, you're getting free guns in exchange for these natural resources. Because for them, it's a win-win. They're giving you a stock. They're depleting the stock. Not only they're buying those, they're selling those weapons, but they're getting even more out of it. And for you, oftentimes, you are left in debt. Because the value of that gun compared to what you are giving them, it's like fractions on a dollar. Pennies on the dollar. Pennies on euros. But because most of these brothers and sisters who are making these deals, these shady deals, are not representing the people. Certainly, most of these governments who keep on piling up weapons instead of piling up seeds to plant, to farm, to eradicate hunger, to take care of the local situation. They want to ensure that they are ready to kill, to fight the very next person who may potentially want to say, hey, listen, I do not want you on that seat, on that leadership seat, because you really suck and you're not seeking the best interest of us as a people. So what they do best, they have this pile of military gears. They've got these mercenaries helping them out to stay in power and making sure that every single one of you who may dare to say, hey, what's going on here? You are completely chopped off right then and there. So until when can we get rid of this dark cloud lingering around your nation, lingering around your villages, lingering around your neighborhood, lingering around your family? This dark cloud is not going to push by itself. You are going to have a saying. You going to have to take some action to get rid of it. Which means these cells of weapon in your homeland, it is you who allow it to happen. If you do not allow it to happen, it won't be sold in your neighborhood. It will not be sold in your village. It would certainly not be sold in your nation. Remember, these weapons do not fall from the sky. They are brought in by the people, known organizations. And these are the same weapons that are using to murder people, to murder your loved ones. And you even know who's using it, because it could be your brother, it could be your uncle, it could be your father, it could be your mother. But then we play stupid like we don't know what's happening. You've known what's been happening, but you're lacking that action. You neither had refused nor accepted what's happening. You've been just like indifferent about what's happening. And consequently, when people start dying, then the same people who are selling you the weapons, they get to come in, become the judge, the jury, and the executioner. I mean, can you see another perfect scenario where an outsider has gotten you like this as a slave? You like to take action towards your own people, and you're expecting an outsider who's giving you the means to kill your own people to come in and be the one also who is going to judge the situation and who is going to set the record straight. Are you mental? So until when can we actually still ignore the dark cloud that's lingering around your nation, that's lingering around your village, that's lingering around your family, that's keeping you miserable, and you don't have the courage to stand up and fight? Until when, guys? This is the question that I'm asking, because it's happening today to most of you. It is happening. Can there be lasting leadership in Africa, in African nations, without peace and stability of the region? Case in point, look in the eastern, Eastern community, the East African community. Now, recently, the Democratic Republic of the Congo has been added to the community. Now, we're not talking about just East African community. We're literally talking about from the east side of Africa to literally the west side of Africa, right underneath of the equator. So it's not just East Africa, it's that whole region now. You have wars ravaging the East African community. How is it that we have wars and we claim that we are peaceful nations? How is it that people are dying in millions, have been dying in millions, and we still play dumb like we have no idea what's happening? And you have foreigners documenting everything that's happening, everything that's been happening on video, on audio, on photographs. And they take these testimonies, they take this documentation, and they throw them under the closet until they need him. Look at the atrocities, the genocide that has been committed in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Well-documented genocide. Look at the genocide that's taken place in Rwanda. Well-documented genocide. Look at the players in those regions. Look in Sudan, South Sudan. Look in Ethiopia. Look in Eritrea. Look in Somalia. Look in Kenya. Guys, there is a trend in what's happening to our livelihood, to our families, to our villages. But there is a lack of action from us as a people. That lack of action, it is going to be what is going to, shall I use this word actually? We are going to be judged by not only our action, but our lack of action. How we have chosen to resolve these issues. Whether you play dumb and whether you just look away that this is none of your business, we are going to be judged collectively, but also individually. A country can be judged as a whole. A village can be judged as just a village. A family can be judged as that family. And you personally, me personally, we can also be judged on an individual basis. And God help you if the entire nation is judged. We have had the history of nation being wiped out, which is why I keep on saying, go back to our history, guys. When a nation is judged, it's no longer that one individual who's causing havoc. Everybody gets to be wiped out. Everybody loses. When a village is judged, that whole entire village gets to be wiped, whether you are innocent or not. When a family is judged, same thing. And certainly when you are judged, same thing. So what must happen for you to see what a big deal it is that you actually take action? Because your lack of action also will judge you as well. It's critical, guys. It's so critical. So critical. Last but not the least, and this one, it's something that, that has become a challenge for the past, 2 years. What happens when leaders refuse to interact with the local citizens, but they are busy interacting with foreigners? Case in point, Rwanda, it's a perfect model for that. Before I jump right on, I want to give you a scenario. Pay attention. Here in the United States, President Biden is the chief citizen leader of the whole entire homeland. Not only he's old, but I think he's one of the most oldest presidents in the United States, period. One of the oldest sitting United States president. This man, ever since he seized power, ever since he was elected, he's meeting people all the time. He's traveling to see people, to see just regular citizens. He never barricades himself in the White House. He doesn't cherry pick who he wants to see. And of course, that also happens for the nature of the business that he does. However, he's seen with the people. I cannot conceive an idea where he goes missing for one day. Just one day, guys. Just one day. Even when he's sick, there is a camera following his every step. The people have the right to know where their chief citizen is and what that chief citizen is doing. What am I saying? Ever since President Biden took office, his every move is documented. People know what he's doing, good and bad. Bottom line, it is all documented. You can actually find out what's happening. Right now, as I speak to you, I know exactly what the president is doing because I follow. They let you know what the president's agenda is on the daily basis, guys. No joke. No joke. And verifiable information. So now, like I told you, I want to give you a case in point in Rwanda. Rwanda has a president called Paul Kagame. For those of you who do not know him, I'm quite sure you know Paul Kagame because one of the best things that Rwanda does, one of the best things, guys, I'm actually proud of this one. They know how to spin a message, guys. They know, they actually have become masters in communication. They know how to sell messages. And guess what? They've learned all of that here and in Europe and in the Middle East. They have learned the art of communication. They know how to manage an audience. They know how to package a message. So Rwanda has been very busy packaging messages on the ways about of the president. For the past 2 years, the president has not met a local person. Like the way you can just meet someone who's like a nobody. He's received very top exclusive names only, either on video or on the, at the villages there, at his headquarters. Now the word on the street is he's been sick also. The word on the street also is that there is someone behind the mask playing him. And consequently, he hasn't been able to go and meet the people who knows him intimately. For these past 2 years, he pops out in different places. As recent as you guys have seen him in Senegal. This past week. He makes many various trips overseas, going in and out of the country. Whether him or not, who knows? However, the word on the street is, you have a masked person doing all the work. Doesn't care about meeting the local peoples. And there have been instances also, because there's no reason to lie about this also, where there's a controlled event. People cherry-picked to come to the event. Where you cannot have a cell phone to take a picture with him. Where you cannot take a video. In most of those events, they collect your cell phone at the entrance of a stadium or the entrance of that private event. You may not record, you may not take a picture. Everything is on a lockdown. The only messages that gets to come out, it's messages that have been pre-coded. Now imagine if the White House, if for every trip that President Biden gets to have, they make sure that Secret Service come in and they yank off your phone, they yank off, they yank off your camera. They say, you know what? No pictures, no cameras, no nothing. Just stay here and you listen in. We will manage all of that. Can you just see a picture like that in the United States? Can you see a picture like that in the United Kingdom, in France, in Germany, in China, even in Russia? And I'm not being sarcastic, guys. I'm being real with you. So Rwanda knows how to package the messages. They know what to give you, when to give it to you, with no question asked. So you may wonder, for 2 years, what has the president been doing with the local people? Why is it that none of you has bothered, questioned, like, hey, where is the way about? How come we never get to see you with the people? But we definitely can see you with President of France. We can see you with President of Senegal. We can see you with Sheikh this and Sheikh that. We can see you in UAE. He's in some way doing business. Whether business for the people or the country, who knows? But you love this man, guys, because of the way it has been prepackaged. But you are never told that for the past 2 years, he's barely met a local person who hasn't been pre-screened. Can you see Biden sticking in the White House, staying in the White House for 2 years? And he only does video conference because of Corona. He doesn't see people. He only sees only officials and military. Can you see a picture like that? And you as journalists also, you are exclusively selected to see Biden. It's not open market. Or it's not open press. Can you see a situation like that? But the media, the mainstream media, will not tell you that that's what's been happening in Rwanda. So what happens when these leaders refuse to interact with the local, but they only able to interact with those with money, those with means? Do you see something wrong with that picture? But none of you is bold enough to actually look into that, to say, what's wrong with this picture? I thought that you guys are doing amazing. Yes, because it's prepackaged to show that it's amazing work being done. But what's right underneath of the hood? What's going on really right underneath of the hood? That is something that today, not a single one in the country can dare question what's happening. A few have attempted to do that. They ended up in jail. Others, they ended up in the crazy person's, what do you call that place again? Help me, guys. The mental, yes, thank you. Others ended up in mental facilities. Like they're calling you a crazy person. You dare talk about the president, his ways about, his health conditions, his possible double doing his work. If you're not killed, you go straight to prison. No questions asked. All of you foreigners, you are fully aware of what's happening. Rwanda has so many embassies open in Kigali. All of you, you have spies in and outside of Rwanda. You know exactly what's going on. But guess what? You claim this is none of our business. As long as our business is in order, do not bother this bucket. Leave it alone. Let Rwanda manage the way they see fit. That goes even for the United States as well. For these past 2 years, business is booming for the United States and Rwanda. And you know, if United States can find Bin Laden in a hole, if they can find Saddam Hussein in a hole, you cannot tell me they have no idea, no ways about of President Kagame, the real President Kagame, because this is becoming an issue. Rwandan people have been asking, where is our president? Both in and outside of the country. There is a president who's an actor. Then there's a really president. Which one is the real guy? Can you imagine today if we raise the havoc that Biden is a double? We know they are doubles, but the real Biden is like on vacation somewhere for 2 years. Man, that will be like a feast for journalists. That story will be sailing everywhere. But guess what? For Africa, it's business as usual. Don't ask what we don't want to talk about. Do not dare inquiring about. You most certainly cannot request any of that. And then we get to call ourselves democratic nations. Come on. How is it that nations like the United States, who have founded themselves under the pillars of what we call democracy, the pursuit of happiness, liberty, and all these good words we love to put forth. One nation under God with liberty and justice for all. I mean, seriously, guys, listen to those words. But today, you see powerful nations like the United States, powerful nations like the United Kingdoms, powerful nations like France, powerful nations like Germany, Russia, China, Australians, and so on. They're doing business as usual. They have so much information. They've collected so much information for their own interest, not for the interest of you Africans or you Rwandans. Again, we speak frankly, boldly, with no apologies. These are facts. They look after themselves first and foremost, and as so they should. But at the same time, these are the nations that are the oldest when it comes to the leadership style that we have today. It's something that's called democracy. The tenets of democratic nations or democracy are not followed equally, are not followed in every state, in every nation the same. Why is it that we look away? We ignore these things when they happen like that. Guys, these issues bring conflicts in our heads. Remember, we are the generation that have seen the genocide as children. We are the same generation that have been prejudged by history, prejudged by the actions taking place by our own people, but also foreigners. And as we have been growing, we also had an opportunity. We have opportunity to get to see firsthand how international community, how foreign nations have a hand, manipulate, influences events taking place in Africa in very selective nations. Now we can see it. And your heart sometimes is crushed. Your mind completely running around the clock because you're like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. The same tenets that we have been taught, that we think have constructed a powerful nation or nations, are the same tenets that have been squashed in other nations, oftentimes by these very big, powerful nations themselves. And you wonder, how do you measure hypocrisy? What is the definition of hypocrisy? You're teaching me one thing here, yet you don't put it in practice yourself. You don't even subscribe to it, but you expect me to do that. It's like the parent that says, don't do what I do, just follow my instruction. You are given instructions that nobody else follows, but you are expected to follow them. What's wrong with that picture, guys? And that's how you get to see that people have actually lost hope. They neither want to participate in liberating themselves, and they just don't care anymore. Because they say, either way, it's going to happen. That's the new attitude. But I submit to you guys, do not cave in. Do not cave in for your humanity. Do not sell your own soul. Your soul is much stronger, much more expensive, much more valuable than a situation that's taking place today. Get back to basics, guys. Get back to basics, very basics. I keep on saying to you, who are you? Do you know yourself? Do you know what you are about? Do you know where you came from? Do you know where you are? Do you know where you headed? We keep on singing that, and to some of you, we nag you about it, but it is one of the most critical things that you must decipher for yourselves if you want to take any action as it relates to helping your own people, as it relates to truly freeing yourself, freeing your mind, and freeing the mind of others. I don't want to use the word desperate, but we desperately need to stand the grounds on our own grounds. Because not doing it, it's not an option on the table. We are expected to do it if you intend to survive another day tomorrow. If you intend to take back your own inheritance. If you intend to take back the leadership of your own nations, the full dominion of your own homeland, there's some prerequisite that you have to do, that you have to take into action. Those prerequisites are a must, an obligation not only to you, to me, but to all of us collectively. So we have a lot of work to do, guys. We have a lot of work to do. I also do acknowledge the fact that some of you don't really care, especially those in these nations that we reside in today. You got things happening for you. You've completely written off the rest of your people. You don't even care to hear about what's happening because it's none of your business anymore. Your life is straight. You got things happening here, and you do not want to upset the bucket. You want to be a good boy, a good girl, at the expense of the rest of your nations, at the expense of everybody else who's left behind. What can be more selfish than that, guys? What can be more selfish? I mean, I cannot find anything that could be more selfish than that. And it is why I keep on telling you guys that we only have one life to live. This very one life to live, you have choices. You have choices. Live honorable, live with intent, do what is right. Make no apologies for living right, for living your convictions, and for helping your own people. The alternative, mind your business. Just see you, look at you, do you, and that's it. But as for me and my own people, not only are we going to do the right thing, not only are we going to advocate, not only are we going to do what we have to do as sons, daughters, kings and queens of Africa, but we're also going to help others. We are going to help you if you so choose it and if you're so willing. We have an obligation. I'd like to tell you guys that think about the United States 250 years ago. What was it? Most of you don't even know what the United States was like 250 years ago. But it was not the United States that you see here today. It wasn't business as you see it today. And I'd like to ask you to go and do homework. What was the United States like 250 years ago? What was France like 250 years ago? What was the United Kingdom like 250 years ago? What was Germany like 250 years ago? What was China like 250 years ago? For those of you who do not care, those of you who don't really mind to know or to see what difference it makes in your life and in your people's life, those are the ones that I'd love to pray about. If you don't know what was yesterday, and you certainly don't care what is today, how can you possibly claim or pretend to know where you're headed tomorrow? The struggle has been real for these past 250 years. So many sacrifices has taken place for all these nations that I have mentioned. They are still struggling even up to date. But they have had 250 years in advance to try out whatever it is that they have been trying. Your nation is barely 60 years old. You are expected to perform as a nation that has had 250 years in advance. Can you see what's wrong with that picture, guys? And out of these 60 years that at least most of you have, you don't have any management accountability of your own resources in your nations. You absolutely have no saying into who becomes a chief citizen, who's doing what in your nations. You are being ruled over. You are told to sign here and do that. You're leading with open hands, asking for a cup of porridge. Someone else is in charge of your own house. You're in debt. Yet you have a fertile land. You have absolutely unlimited resources right underneath of your soil. But you have no creativity, no mind to actually make something out of that land. Make something out of your natural resources. Make something out of your farms. Not only to secure your own people, to secure today, tomorrow, for generations and generations. And then you get to wonder, why can we not move forward? We are not willing participants. We want this responsibility to be pushed over to other people. We want to take the credit, all right, but we do not want to put the work in it. That is not the spirit of a king and a queen, guys. That's the spirit of a slave. A slave is told what to do, how to do it, and when to start and when to finish. A slave is given a cup of porridge because the master can determine what you need for you to get some work done. It's the same way like if you have a vehicle. You are responsible to put some gas in. You are responsible to have maintenance. You are responsible to do all these things that you do for the vehicle just so that the vehicle operates. The vehicle is just there. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It neither asks for permission to you. When it's just offline, it's offline. You go to the stress of making sure that, hey, what am I going to do to make sure that this vehicle works? You spend money, you spend resources just to make sure that the vehicle works. So these nations have been spending money, the minimum required to get you to work, to get you to operate, specifically what they want you to do. Now what you choose to do, what you want to do. It's no different than owning a vehicle. You receive these loans to take care of you, to have development, these SDGs, sustainable goals, they say. You're doing things on credit and you expect to get out of debts. Are you serious? You're not allowed to use your own natural resources because you've given the rights to the outsiders. You've sold out your own people. You've sold out the inheritance of your people. You have your own cut. You are set with your family, but the rest of the nation isn't. In fact, the rest of the nation is far worse than what they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. Mark my words, worse. And you claim to be you claim to be developing your nation. You claim to be the best chief citizen, the best leaders that these nations have. Are you serious? Guys, when I talk about this, I'm actually saddened to even utter these words. It is not something that I'm proud of. But it is something that we are going to fight, to eradicate, to uproot from the roots right under. I like what's Justa said. Africans and Rwandese people, we need freedom. The sponsored dictators must go. I agree. I agree big time. Guys, I think we get to confuse oftentimes freedom and liberty. When you are liberated, you are not necessarily freed. Those are two different things. Freedom is expensive, guys. But you gotta free your mind first and foremost. If your mind is not free and your body doesn't have physical shackles, you might very much still be a slave because someone else is controlling your will, your destiny. And that's one of the things that today our nation or our nations are really struggling in, because an average person has no idea the difference between liberty and freedom. They have no idea what it means to be freed, the responsibility of a freed person, a freed family, a freed community, a freed nation. It's a huge responsibility. And we have many of our brothers and sisters who are irresponsible, both young and old. So there's so much work to do, guys. You fight for freedom. Freedom is not given to you. It's not handed down to you like the way you receive a cup of porridge. That's not freedom. That's slavery maintenance. Remember, a slave is maintained because the master has something that you are going to do for him or her. Slaves lived, slaves had needs met by the masters, not because they were loved by the masters, but because it was the only way they could actually perform the minimum required of them. The minute you claim independence, you are fully responsible for everything that the master was responsible for, and some more. Which is why today we see big nations like the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Nigeria, some of these really mega nations within Africa. And you see the development that they have. Especially like, look at the Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I mean, the nation is wealthy, but it's considered one of the poorest nations. I mean, how do you reconcile those two things? You have everything, but your people are so slavely shackled mentally that they cannot do anything. To make matters worse, you have foreigners taking over your land. 1 acre at a time. It's like you have nations inside of other nations in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. You have people, you have corporations owning land. Corporations who run policies, laws, and regulation within the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That's how those guns get there. That's how those bombs get there. Not all of it comes through the Democratic Republic government. It's privately brought in because someone may have purchased a few mountains, thousands of acres of land, and you have a private airport that lands in and out. There's no technology enough to verify what goes in and out of that land. You basically run business from anywhere around the world to you. And from you distribute all those weapons in the region. You can distribute the natural resources in and out without any verification. We know it's happening today. We know that it's happening today. We also know that these governments are aware of it. And you wonder, if they are aware of what's happening and they allow it to happen, are they for you or against you people? That's the question that I want you to imagine, to think about. If you know that something is wrong and someone who is responsible to fix it is also aware of it, but is either unable or unwilling to do something about it, is that person working for you or against you? And then we oftentimes blame it on the foreigners. Of course, we want someone to take the blame. But is it really a fault of a foreigner who have stricken a deal with you? For them, they feel like, hey, this is fair. If you're willing to play ball, this is what we can do for you. This is what we are willing to do. And you being as greedy as you can be, you check the math and you do everything. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I'll bite. I'll do it. You sell out your own people for your own person again. That is treason, guys. And guess what? These nations, these corporations are not going to tell on you. Why should they? It's not their business that they're dealing with a fool. So long as their own interest is secured, that's all that matters. And that's why when we have this kind of conversation, I want you guys to know that we are not just talking about it for the sake of talking about it. We also are doing something about it. Which is why we keep on saying to you, come and be involved, guys. But you cannot come and do the work while you are in the hole. You cannot come and be like, keep on going, but don't let them see me. Because I got this really nice job here. And if they see me, there's a good chance that they will take me off this job. Same way a slave could be like, you know what? Don't let my master see that I'm doing A, B, C, D. My master loves me. He loves me or she loves me. My master provides everything that I need. And I'm content with it. So no, I'm not going to help you and put myself in trouble. That's not going to happen. However, though, I'm happy to do A, B, C, D. So long as my master doesn't know. Or even if my master knows what I'm doing, that I won't be apprehended to the degree that I can find myself out of a job. Are you serious, guys? Are you serious? The season we are in requires that you either go for it or out of it. There's no in between, guys. If you're truly going to fight for your freedom, if you're truly going to take back what is rightfully yours, you are not going to be asking for it and be like, I'm waiting for you to let me have back what is mine. No, it's not going to work like that. Only children can think like that. Unless we are children, Don't expect to have freedom when you're not willing to fight for it. And don't expect to gain freedom out of a hole or while you are still in that hole. You're going to have to come up in the open, and you will have to do some of the things that you may not be comfortable doing, including some of the risky things to get what you want. 250 years back, these nations, they have done a lot of deplorable things to get where they are. History tells us so. But none of you guys are either willing to go and see what has happened 250 years ago for most of these nations. What kind of beginnings did they have when they decided that, hey, we actually want to be, we want to be self-governing. We want to self-govern ourselves. We want this and that and that and that. Do you know what has happened? And I submit to you that it isn't pretty. It isn't the kind of story, the kind of, the kind of accolades that you can just go and be like, this is what we have done to get here. No, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. It's as worse as you can imagine it. But they have gone through that. You can barely learn that in the universities. It's that kind of a story, that kind of history that they don't necessarily want to advertise. But they had to go through that to get to where they are right now. And my question to you, what are you willing to go through for you to fully gain your freedom? For you to remove not only the mental shackles, the physical shackles, but also your thinking, to change your thinking. There is more work to do, guys. So with that in mind, let me end it there because I have so much to say, but most of you can't take it. But one of the things that I always say is that I'm super grateful, guys, for the opportunity to serve you guys, for the opportunity to link up with all of you, especially those of you who are willing. I see you guys are shooting some messages. Before taking over and fix it necessary for us to switch our mindset from slavery mentality to co-creative mentality. I love that. Greetings, Mama. Yes. I'm in agreement with you guys. So I always like to say that if you scrutinize your own lives, what's happening in your lives, what do you need to do to make these changes? Today, not tomorrow. What can you do today? And what can you do publicly, not in a hole? Can you be bold enough to say, this is what I'm going to do because this is what is required of me. This is what is required from my family, from our community. And this is what we can pledge. This is what we can dedicate to do. That's my question to you. And last but not least, guys, I'm going to be leaving with you asking again, how much longer before the dark cloud hanging over Africa and African nations is gone? How much longer can we allow that to happen? That's the question that I have asked you. And can there be lasting leadership in Africa or in African nation without peace and stability in those same region? What happens when leaders refuse to interact with the locals, but they are busy pleasing the international community? What do you call that? That's that slavery mindset that I'm talking to you about, guys. You have one of the favorite slaves doing the work and they're thinking that they're free. They're checking into the masters. They're doing all these things the master wishes that they do at the expense of the rest of the populations. In that situation, it has to be changed. With that, guys, please shoot us some feedbacks. Let us know what you like about this program in particular and the rest of the program that we do have. Be sure to visit our website, afridominion.com. Also, shoot us an email. Our main email is info@afridominion.com. Go to the website also. Find our telephone number. Give us a call. Let us know what you like about the program. But above all, guys, We need your help. We need your help to push this message further. We need help to get as many projects as we have in the queue going, and we need you to come and participate. And with that in mind, I'm super grateful, guys, for the opportunity to have been with you today. A huge thanks to HMG Network and the affiliates for having pushed the signal to all those of you guys, be it on television, radio station, even social media. Until next time, I am Freeman Singirankabo with Afrit Dominion. I wish you all a super fantastic day, and we will see you Monday, next week on Monday. And we are super grateful, guys, again, for the opportunity to serve and be with you. Until next time, you have a great day and have a great weekend. So long for now.